Yo, what's good with y'all, man? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm gonna go over how to make dark experimental samples. Before we get into the breakdown, check out my Instagram at Prod by Yeooo. Posting a bunch of stuff on there, and yeah, let's hop right into it. So we're starting to sample off at 144 BPM. First, we're starting with some chords, and we're going into Clausino's Synchronicity Creative Kit, and we're grabbing this one shot right here, and we're just playing these chords that sound like this. Pretty much all this is a D minor chord, except I'm pitching down this F down by 1 just to give it like that darker feel. And then I'm pitching it up an octave. And then I'm just adding this D on top as well. And then for the second chord, I'm just copying this over and then pitching everything up by 1. And for the effects, I'm dragging in this Volve compressor preset from my new RUUTS multi-kit. If you just go in the effect chains right here, it's just the Volve compressor and it's completely stock. Pretty much all it is like a chorus, some flangus, a compressor, which is huge on this, a bunch of EQs, and then this tau filter as well, which is a completely free plugin. Then we're going into the Mini Freak by Arturia, and we're playing this pattern right here. All I'm doing is arpeggiating some notes in the scale. And then for the second half right here, I'm just taking everything I did in the first and just pitching up by 1. And these bass notes here are just following the root notes of the chords. There's no effects on this. We're going into Mini Freak again, and we're playing this little like lead melody. And then I rendered that whole pattern out and then just kind of chopped it up here just to give us some more room, just to chop out some of that reverb decay. So it was at this point where I kind of came into like a creative like drought. I really wasn't like feeling this melody too much. I wasn't really inspired. So pretty much what I did was run all that stuff I just put in, and I ran it through a halftime, and then I pitched the whole thing up by 8 with the sound shifter, and then added an EQ, cut out the lows, and then this EQ to cut out some mid frequencies, and it completely changed the whole vibe of the sample, and I felt inspired again. So this is a great way if you're feeling stuck in a sample, low-key just run it through a bunch of effects, run it through halftime, run it through a sound shifter, pitch it up and down. It just creates a lot of new like ideas in my brain, and yeah, I kind of continued from there. And pretty much how I did that was just take everything and then route it to this melody bus here. And the way to do this is just highlight and then right click this and hit route to this bus, and then that's where I put all the effects on. And this is what everything sounds like with the melody bus on. Next thing, I add some more movement. I'm going into my RUUTS kit and I'm adding in this bass, and it's called Tundra. And it's just following these root notes, and I'm just adding like a little slide up an octave just to give it some more movement. And I feel like at this point the melody was kind of like bare bones, which I kind of liked, and I wanted to add some more stuff to it. So I went into my RUUTS kit and grabbed a bunch of textures and like phrases and stuff, and I ran all these through that same halftime chain as well, and it sounds like this. I feel like the real MVP of this one is this green monster texture. This is what it sounds like originally. There's no actual effects on this, it's just ran through that same halftime chain. All I'm doing here is just pitching up this second half just to fit the chord progression by 1 semitone. And then this next one is this synthetic phrase, and it sounds like this. Just to add some more like grittiness to the sample. And then adding in this chord, and is this blooper piano chord. And these last two are just these like textures, and they sound like this. These textures are really just adding a ton of movement, and it just fills out the rest of the sample that needed to be filled out. Like I said, a lot of these sounds are coming from my RUUTS multi-kit, and it's actually available right now to pre-order. I just want to go through some of the stuff and preview the sounds. So like I said, the bass is coming from RUUTS, and it's this Tundra bass, and there's a bunch of different types of bass sounds in here. We got some like shorter ones, some like bass guitar type of stuff, some deep ones, and then we got some like unique ones as well. And there's some like really like deep long ones. And then all of the phrases and textures, obviously I already kind of previewed some of them in the sample, but we got chord stuff, guitar phrases, piano phrases, and then some like really regular like cool phrases. And then the texture folder is by far my favorite folder, and it's just instant inspiration when I open this and drag these onto my samples. And if you're interested in purchasing this kit, definitely go check out the link in the description. I'm going to have the link down there. It is in pre-order, like I said, and you're going to receive the expansion for absolutely free when you pre-order. And the RUUTS kit is also going to be at a discount when you pre-order. Coming with the expansion, there's a bunch of samples from top sample makers, a bunch of extra sounds and texture tutorials, some other stuff in there as well. So like I said, go check that out in the link in the description below, and let's hop right back into sample. The last thing I wanted to add was like a perk loop, and I went into my RUUTS kit and I grabbed a bunch of these percussion one-shots. As you can see, there's a bunch of percussion one-shots in here as well as percussion loops, but I decided to just go with the shots and create my own percussion loop. And this is what it sounds like. And I threw on the mixer track and I added this percussion chain from my RUUTS multi-kit. And the only thing I added on top of that was this plugin. And pretty much all it's doing is setting a threshold so it's not going above a certain dB. So that's pretty much it for the first section. This is what it sounds like. Now on to the second section and like transitional part. Pretty much all I did for the transition was drag this atmosphere in from my RUUTS multi-kit, and it just helps to transition to the last section. And then I added in this reverse bass pattern, which I'm about to go over here. So for the second section, I'm dropping out a bunch of sounds and I'm adding some new stuff in there. I'm still keeping these same chords, except I'm rendering them out and pitching them up an octave. And then I'm layering them on top of each other so it just sounds a little bit bigger and wider. Next thing I'm adding is this bass carbon from RUUTS, and it sounds like this. All I'm doing is adding this decapitator on this punish mode and putting it to 1. And then I'm making an automation clip like this to make it like swell into. It's very subtle, but adds some nice distortion in there. Then I'm dragging this percussion over and I'm just chopping out this last little part here. And then I'm adding these 2 vocal loops in, and this is the tempo vocal loop. And then this one is the back-to-back vocal loop. And it sounds like this. These vocal loops are straight drag and drop right from the kit. I just pitched them a little bit differently and they just all tempo synced and stuff like that. And there's absolutely no effects on these at all. And then for my master chain, I'm pretty much just adding this EQ to crispen up some of these high ends. I added the sound shifter to pitch it up by 8 because I thought it was a little bit too low. I wanted it to pitch it all up. Then I added the soothe just to dampen some frequencies I didn't like. And then this gain plugin because I kind of mixed it a little too quietly, so I boosted it up by 10 dB. And then a trusty old soft clipper on the master because I don't want my melodies to peak over 0 dB. And after all that is what the final sample sounds like. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Hope you guys can take something away from this. I think this sample turned out really fire, and I think it's a little bit experimental, still sounds usable. And like I said before, if you like the sounds in the sample, definitely go check out my RUUTS multi-kit, which is on pre-order right now. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one.